Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode. On this episode, a little bit different. I've got, let me show you here. Hopefully you guys can see this. 64 miles on this thing so far. So I'm going to get it up on jack stands. I'm going to check every nut and bolt. Just kind of do a quick once over. Make sure I see nothing that's weird under there. As I said, I went down, got the brake and light inspection. I now have a 60-day temporary permit from the DMV. Got that today, so we're looking good there. So now I can at least start driving this more, and this weekend I intend to put some miles on it, quite a few probably. So I'm going to get it up on jack stands. We'll check all the suspension points. I'm going to check the hub nuts. Just kind of go through the whole thing. I'll kind of take you through what I'm really looking at. Loving it so far. A few little issues here I'm going to deal with. As I said, one of the fan lights and things like that, but nothing major. Other than that, it's running great. As I said, 64 miles, and just want to double check everything. I don't want to break down. My Cobra never left me stranded, never had any issues with that, so I just want to make sure this thing's getting off to a good start. So I'll get it up on jack stands. Probably pull the wheels off even, just check all the braking points where they're bolting up, just kind of check everything out, give it a couple of hours just to make sure everything is looking good. As I said, you build a car, and I built this thing in, I'm thinking probably record time. I mean, I'm pretty much on the road in, 7.5 months. Probably have it registered in another 4 to 6 weeks, I'm guessing, depending on how long it takes me to get CHP and the California Bureau of Automotive Repair appointments. That's going to be the holdup. If I could get those now, I could have this thing on the road and registered in no time. But those appointments take time, I believe. So let's take you through this. We'll check some things out, show what I'm looking at, and thanks again for watching, and we'll see how this day goes. Got the car up on jack stands now, so I'm going to check. I'm actually going to lift the front end a little bit. I'm at about 3 3/4 inches on the front to the front cross member to the ground. I'm going to kick it up just a touch. I can't even get this ultra low jack under there right now, so it makes it a pain in the ass to jack up. So if I get maybe 1/4 inch, 3/8 give or take up, it just make getting this thing up in the air a little bit easier. So I'm going to do that by taking the coilovers and adjusting the collar. So basically preload the spring more, and that'll lift the front up a little bit. I'll probably do the same for both sides. Maybe a turn and a half. As I said, what you get on the shock does not equal what your lift on the car is because of where the pivot points are. So I am thinking maybe a turn and a half. We'll try that, see where we're at. I can always drop it back down later. So we'll do that first, and I may even count the threads again, because I did have to jack the car way up to get the headlights above the 20-inch DOT minimum at the brake and light inspection. So I may count the threads on those shocks to make sure they're even on both sides. And then eventually I'll get my buddy's got some of the scales, and then I'll corner balance it so that I know I'm spot on. But right now we just counting the threads in the shock and going from there. Okay. So I'm checking all the bolts here, making sure that everything is tight. I don't mark these things because I end up readjusting the suspension too much on these upper control arms. I counted the shocks. I got the same number of threads, and I've also, on this piece right here, you can see how it lines up on the snap ring on the upper shock. It's exact same spot on the other one. If I move this collar up or down, eventually it's going to be pushing up, preload it, or it'll drop down if I shorten it. So this kind of is a good gauge. I know then my lengths between the bottom and this are spot on. So everything else looks pretty good up here. I don't see any issues. I'm looking for any rubbing where the tires might rub at. Seeing no evidence of anything. That's just another thing I'm looking for. Making sure the cotter keys, I gotta admit, white suspension does look good. Making sure those cotter keys are good. I'll probably check, making sure I got no brake fluid coming from anywhere, which looks pretty good. This side looks really good. I don't see any issues at all. The only thing I can feel is I've got just a hair of play. So when I take the wheel from the top and the bottom and just kind of go tink, 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 I can actually feel just a very minute. So what I'm saying is if I take this like this and do this, I can feel just a hair of play. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I don't know if maybe that nut, I mean, I torqued that to like 250 feet-pounds, the hub nut. So, but as I said, I can just, and you know, there always should be just a little bit of play in there. You don't want to have it totally preloaded. So I'm thinking it's okay, but I will definitely keep an eye on it. You can see the rotors. They're definitely starting. I haven't bedded them in or any yet, but they're actually getting worn in, which is good. I got to bed the brakes here once I kind of do a complete check out of this thing, and we're going to go from there. Another thing I wanted to point out too is I put the aluminum on the front of this, and I actually used it to move this in and out where I needed it to be. And then I got two panhead bolts here. This way, because I've heard this area gets so beat up, I figured this way at least protect it. I think Paul did both sides. He made a whole nother panel in there. I'm not planning on doing that yet, but maybe down the road, we'll see. But yeah, the front looks really good. We'll check the other side out. Other than that, I'm happy with what I see up here. So I got the rear wheel off. That has not moved. I actually checked the torque on it. Looks pretty good. No issues there. As I said, the brakes here, you can see they still got some breaking in to do, bedding to do. And this is one thing. I'm not sure. Is there panels that cover this gap? I don't think I see them, so I'm just curious to see what goes on with that. Not really sure, so we'll figure that one out later. So I'm just kind of checking all the nuts here. Everything looks good. You see my marks on this one here, still lined up. That one there I can't quite see because, yep, that one looks good. This one looks good. Yeah, I'm seeing that one looks good. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks like it's staying where it's supposed to be. So I'm just kind of looking, see if I got any rubbing anywhere. I don't see any marks. Looking up into here, fenders, I'm seeing really nothing. So I think it looks pretty darn good from what I'm seeing here so far. Yeah, so maybe we'll pull the other wheel off. Check this hub here. I'll kind of grab this. Same type thing here. Yeah, it looks good. So then we'll toss that wheel back off. I'm going to torque all these wheels again too. We'll do that. But other than that, I think everything looks really good. I'm not seeing any major issues. We'll climb up underneath here in a second. But, you know, I'm looking at differential bolts. They haven't budged. The back one, don't know until I get underneath. But, yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. Let's go pull the other wheel off. Okay, so we're going to climb on underneath now and start sliding around under here. I'll turn my headlight on. Okay, so I'm looking for... Oh, white got dirty already. I'm looking for anything. Check my gap there, it looks good. Bolts look good. Kind of checking all the brake lines for any fluid leaks. Checking here. Everything looks really good. Oh, let's check this one here. Yep, gap looks good there. So pull it up in there. That one lines up. This one, that was actually tightened up a little bit. That doesn't, that bushing rotated around. But let me throw a wrench on that one. No fuel leaks. No leaks of any kind. Like I said, I'm just going to keep kind of moving forward here. I don't see anything of concern. Everything is looking excellent. Hopefully you guys can see all this stuff here. Yeah, I don't see anything of concern back here at all. Everything looks really good. So I'm going to move around these jack stands and we'll continue on forward. Underneath the transmission. No leaks. I'll check the output. Everything is bone dry under here. I did have a little leak here. I had to tighten that up. That was after I first fired it up. Just on the drain, got one of those copper washers and had just a drop. So I cranked it just a hair and it's now gone. So other than that, everything looks good under here. I see no issues at all. No coolant, no nothing. So you guys are getting a bird's eye view of everything that's under here now. As you can see, my battery cables are pretty well secured. So I heat shrink them, wrap them into convoluted tubing, and then wrap them with electrical tape. And then they're actually attached to the car about every 8 inches. So there's no movement at all. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But that looks pretty darn good, I think. Yeah, I don't see any real issues. So I'm gonna come up into here. As I said, I just don't see anything of concern. Everything looks really good. Still not a fan, if you can see into here, the way that lower radiator hose, you know, it's just barely touching that sway bar. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. That just kind of bugs me. I couldn't get it off any further. I actually dropped the sway bar down to get clearance. So yeah, other than that, everything under here looks really, really good. So we'll continue on, but you guys are getting the idea. I'll check all the reservoirs, check coolant level, oil level, but it's yeah, it's looking really good. I got the car back on the ground. Checked everything out. I had to add just a little bit of coolant. I think I'll probably still got a little bit of air in there. As I said, this weekend coming up here, a 3-day weekend, I'm gonna drive this thing hard. We're gonna put some serious miles on it. Found no issues. I did get the rear splash wheel well pans in. So the aluminum pretty much is all done, I think. I'm looking around the garage going, what else can I put in? But I think I got it all. So we're going to drive it a bunch, and then we'll work on some of the things I got to fix, like the nose hinges, things like that. But so far, it's looking great. There's no leaks, no big issues. I did order some more carpet because I'm going to probably carpet the rear. I might even put just a little bit of sound deadening, like little strips. I'm going to probably order some tonight. Then I'll probably change oil at 500 miles too, just to get anything in there out. Other than that, it's ready to go. So we'll keep throwing videos up. And I said I got a lot in the past that I got to get up, showing a lot of more details. So I'll keep working on that. But thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe. Bye.